Yeah, g'day and welcome to the Morning Line, everyone, on this Wednesday. It's great to have your company. And we're joined this morning again by Dave Stanley, whose Kosci tour rolls on. He's the everywhere man and he's arrived in Wagga as destination number 2 on the tour, and he's catching up with us this morning. Dave, a very good morning to you, mate. Before we touch on Wagga, it's good to see you're up and standing upright, because I saw some vision on social media, brother. You weren't looking too good the other day at the snow.
I'd never seen it, Lewis. Hello to you and hello to everyone out there watching this morning. Good morning to you. It was an incredible experience up there at Perisher earlier in the week, of course. When I last spoke to you, we were at the Banjo Patterson Inn in Jindabyne, and we've, as you mentioned, we've made our way to Wagga. But one part about travelling around and seeing all these different parts of New South Wales is, I guess, exploring the different experiences that you can get here in the state. There's so much stuff, not just in New South Wales, because obviously this is going right around the country, but it doesn't matter where you live in Australia, there's always something in our backyard that maybe you haven't seen or haven't done, and that was something that I had never seen and done. I don't know if I'll be racing back skiing-wise. I think I'm very much more in my natural element right now here in Wagga in a local bar/pub tab. Here I am, going about 5 metres. One of the most concerning things about these videos, and I really line up this fence well, don't I, Lewis, is that's actually the kids section at Perisher. So there were people around me, much, much younger. In fact, I think some in like 5, 6, maybe even been younger, mate, just zooming past, having the time of their life, and I'm running into fences. So, as I said, got to thank the team from Perisher for taking me up there. Growing up in Queensland, never seeing snow, it was pretty unbelievable. And one thing trying to tie it back, and obviously to the Kosciuszko tour, is, you know, we're promoting an unbelievable experience that you can have. You can buy your ticket and you can obviously head to Royal Randwick and experience something, if you win a slot, that you'll never, ever experience again. You know, being there on such a big racing day for big money, and then obviously, of course, being, you know, treated like an owner and a king and queen for the day. So, yeah. I'm very surprised that vision made its way out. I was going to try and pay some of the Sky team to keep that quiet, but it's out and about now, mate. Hey, what about you? Are you a skier?
I haven't been skiing in a long time. I used to. I remember once doing exactly the same as you, running into that fence. I didn't have the Godolphin blue on like you did, but we've all been there at one point, mate. I'm a bit like you. I'd much prefer to stay in the lodge rather than get out to the slopes. I'm much more at home by the fire with a Guinness or something there where we go to the ski. Hey, let's talk about the Kosciuszko. You're in Wagga, as we know, a real powerhouse area when it comes to horses for the Kosciuszko. We'll take a look at the market, and it's going to be a few people from Wagga, or most people I'm assuming, who are hoping that Asgarda can do the big country feature double. Of course, the country championships winner into the Kosciuszko. Front page still your favourite at $4.50. Opal Ridge $8 and Bandy's Boy $9. And I guess the important thing is, as we look at Asgarda winning the country championships final last year, that people have got to start to think about, if they get a winning ticket, who they are keen to select. And I remember this day, Dave, Kayla Nisbet in the saddle. This was a great win.
It certainly was. Look at the way she just lengthens away here. Once she got to the top of the rise, Asgarda, of course, Kayla Nisbet, not long after, joins us here at Sky Racing. So it was her biggest win. The emotion from Dougie Gorrell as well after that win of Asgarda. And the one thing that people should always or also remember is Kooringal Stud. They're the Kooringal Stud colours, of course, which is a local stud here in the Riverina. So I know she's not on that page of betting there, Asgarda, but I'm going to chat with Doug Gorrell this morning on Racing HQ on the Sky Sports Radio Network. So if you're watching the Morning Line this morning and backing a winner in North America or wherever it may be internationally, you can find that podcast a little bit later today. One little side story. I'm going to put the heat on Doug this morning, Louis, because I spoke with Molly Burke recently, and Molly has been flying. Of course, she's the apprentice to John Sargent there. She's a very, very good rider. She's from the Riverina, and she always gets back to the Riverina and does some riding. Her dream, I said, what's the one race or your main big dream that you'd like to tick off in the next couple of seasons? It's to get a ride in the Kosciuszko. She wants to ride in the Kosciuszko. Now, there may be an opening because Kayla, of course, can't ride Asgarda. I don't know who's been doing all the work with Asgarda at home down here in Wagga, but I'm going to pitch up for Molly because she's a very good rider, and that would be an unbelievable story. And I know she's had success with Dougie Gorrell before in big races and big moments. So, look, I think that she won't be the only horse that's looked at down here. Tim Donnelly has some really nice horses. We're going to chat this morning as well on the program with Danny Beasley. Now, Danny probably doesn't have a Kosciuszko horse at this stage because his stable's just started. But boy, oh boy, that'll be a race that he would love to eventually get a good horse in. And Gary Colvin, of course, with another one who probably won't be going towards the Cosy, but we'll try and talk about some of the up-and-coming horses that may attract the attention of some slot holders. Of course, we talk about, horses that attract the attention. If you own a horse yourself and you think it's going good enough and you win the slot, well, mate, there's no decision to be made. You can just throw your horse in like we've seen in previous years. So we kind of have an idea of what horses are going to be in the race, but also that some may come from left field.
Yeah, certainly so. There is just so many options and ways that it can play out. And I love that you mentioned that Molly wants to win the Kosciuszko. They're very staunchly supportive of their area, the country jocks, young or old. And while there's great races like Everest's and, anything, Cox Plates, Melbourne Cups, whatever, I love that top of the list can be races like the Country Championships and the Kosciuszko. Another key chance to take a look at Bianco Villano, of course, for the Ronnie Stubbs team at Albury. The Country Championships qualifier winner, and actually has that Ascada form because beat Ascada in this Southern District qualifier and then went to Albury and beat it again. Was not far away in the final, but you'd think has to be a chance based off those form lines.
Well, there he is, obviously, getting the job done. And Craig Williams rode him on that occasion. He wasn't in the standard Ron Stubbs colours. He was there on the outside in I think they're the Racing Mates colours, actually. I think they are Paddy Webster's colours from Racing New South Wales. And great to see Willow. That was actually around the same time that Craig was getting carved up on social media in relation to, some other rides, and he still went to Albury and got the job done. And it was amazing how punters, they just forget about what happened, and they were all on the Bianco Villano because he was a red hot favourite that day. It was a good win. One thing I'll say about the country and those particular horses is if you ever get the opportunity to get your punters club together or get the family together and head to a country racetrack. Now, that was a locally trained horse in a very big race. When the whole town's on a big horse like that, the roar. Now, you and I have been to Royal Randwick, Rose Hill, some big races around the world, but there's nothing quite like when the whole town has a tip for one and they're all on at your local country track. And Albury was rocking that day because I think Ron, he's a quiet and reserved man, but I think the tip was out. I think they knew this horse was flying. It was a good track that day. That's the key to Bianco Villano. He needs a good track here, Louis.
Yeah, certainly does, and I'll link that story to where you are right now. That Wagga Carnival, which I went to 2 years ago, is one of the best in country areas. There was a big tip floating around, and it was the only race of the entire carnival. I went up and joined Anthony Menton in the caller's box. We were all on it, but I couldn't roar. Otherwise, he would have kicked me out of the box with 50 to go as he was making the call. So I love going to those country carnivals, as you do, Dave. And you're in, at the moment, one of the great pubs of one of the great carnivals in New South Wales.
Well, I'm going to chat later with a gentleman called Sandman on the program. Now, they've got the massive punters club, as you know, down here, Louis. But they've got some, I don't know if the right word is bad blood. I don't know, or they need to rectify what they believe history. Because how about this? Obviously, they were lucky enough, the William Farrer, to get a spot the year Red Zell won the Everest. And we'll talk about, even though that was the Bell Fly year, they were on a place getter in relation to it. But how about this? They then missed out on a few slots. They actually had front page secured, and the whole front page story around the William Farrer Hotel has been an interesting one because they had him selected, then he got scratched, obviously, and then they missed out on a spot because there's some connection, obviously, with the horse and some owners into the punters club. So, yeah, Lewis, they want to get a spot and they want to pick front page because they reckon they've got some unfinished business.
Rightio, I'm tipping they'll be at the Farrer, loading up the EBTs and buying those tickets for $5 a pop. Or, as we know, Dave, you can do it on your Tab app. We'll flash the QR code up on screen as well. For those who are tuning in, Dave, how else or what else should people do to get involved in the Kosciuszko this year?
Well, I would firstly be scanning that QR code, jumping on the Tab app, Tab website. You can be buying them in your local this afternoon. I actually like the idea, and I actually spoke with a gentleman called Pud from Dorrigo. Now, one of my first ever Kosciuszko tours was up to Dorrigo, which is west up in the mountains in the ranges of behind Coffs Harbour. And they were lucky enough to win a Cosy spot in one of the first years. And their punters club, a lot of the people that are in the punters club have never been on a plane before. So to get the plane from Coffs Harbour down to Sydney was such a thrill, and obviously staying in Coogee and staying around Randwick. So my advice and what their tactic was, and I kind of liked it, was every time they went to the pub in the afternoon or the club, or whether it be even on a weekend if they were at home just having a play on the races, if they were to win a particular race as the punters club, they would allocate $25 of each winnings to some Kosciuszko tickets, and it sort of spread those numbers around. Some people will come in and buy a chunk or buy a chunk online, but I kind of like if you have a win today, maybe you can throw a few tickets after each win on the Cosy, and that way you can separate those numbers, and you never know. It might just roll on. Before I let you go, very quickly, mate, today, if you're around the William Farrer Hotel, call in, because I might have some Kosciuszko tickets to give away to some lucky listeners and viewers. And secondly, I will be the next part of this tour in a couple of weeks' time up in Kingscliff and Lennox Heads. I'll be in Kingscliff on the 16th, I believe, and the 17th in Lennox Heads. So we go from the cold down south up to the beautiful beaches there in the northern rivers. So looking forward to being a part of that, and we'll see you very, very soon, mate.
Can't wait for that Cosy tour to roll on. Big thanks to Dave Stanley for joining us here this morning on The Morning Line.